let's see you drink from it without touching your mouth.
Okay,
No,
okay. So suppose this is a, I
I'm
opened
I'm
a bottle and like this, you know,
I'm joking.
not an issue. So I
Wow,
have
you're
just
very
demonstrated.
talented.
I demonstrated you.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing okay. It's very nice of you to ask. Thank you for asking. Name is
Yeah.
Sadhna.
My name is Sadhna.
It's a very nice name.
Thank you so much. And how can I pronounce your name? It's
Indeed.
Kado or like,
Yes, you're absolutely correct. It's Kado. Yes, so you're right. My name is Kado.
okay,
Very
Kado.
simple, short
Is it
name.
okay? Am I pronouncing it right? Kado, right? Okay.
That's correct. Where in India do you live?
Chhattisgarh state.
In
Yeah.
South India.
No, it's in the central India, basically. Yeah.
So, what are you doing nowadays? Are you really busy or do you have a lot of free time?
Not exactly. Actually, I am an English trainer myself. So I'm associated with teaching English to some tribal students here, Bastar and other
Okay.
areas. I have a lot on my plate these days, so I can't say that
Uh-huh.
I'm a lot of free time. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's nice to be busy so we don't get bored, but, we don't want to be over busy. But it sounds
Yes.
like you have a really nice job and you get to work with very kind people and you get to help people and teach them the English. It sounds like you have a very nice job.
I've been teaching English for the last 3+ years now. Yeah.
So that's why you have such good English.
Yes, yes. Not exactly. I won't say that because I have a lot to learn. As you know, that being an English trainer, we have to upgrade ourselves with time. So I keep doing that because obviously to teach others, we need to know, you know, better. So that's it.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And we are all always continuing to learn. We'll keep learning until the end of our life.
Yes, yes. Learning is like lifelong process, you know. You can't stop learning till the last breath. You have to learn something.
Exactly right. We always need to improve ourselves and become better. I agree.
First, let me ask you something about you. So, where do you reside right now?
I'm here in the Philippines.
Philippines, okay. You're like native of Philippines or migrant or something?
Well,
Or
I'm originally from Hawaii, but I've been in the
okay,
Philippines for a few years now, and I was working in a company here in the Philippines, but I resigned from the company because it wasn't good. Well, I'm originally from Hawaii. Do you know Hawaii?
Hawaii, yes, I've heard about it.
But I've been in the Philippines for a few years now because I was working in a company here, but it was a
Mm-hmm.
very bad company with lots of problems. So I resigned and I quit the company. It was not a good situation.
Okay. Is like part-time job or like on Cambly or you are a full-time trainer or what?
Well, I can't say that I'm a full time position, but I do work on Cambly every day.
Okay.
Well,
Do you
it's really
enjoy doing
nice
it?
to meet people from
Yes.
all around the world, and it feels good to help if I can be helpful with the language.
So have you had any chance to interact with Indian student like me?
I speak to people from India fairly often. I mean, they are the most common people on Cambly are probably Chinese, but there is quite a few people from India here on Cambly. And sometimes I help
Yeah,
people that are having visa interviews to study in other countries and things like this.
that's great. So I have some questions for you from my students because I told them that I'm going to have a conversation with Kado. Yeah, he's from like native speaker. So they have some questions. So shall I ask some questions? Difficulty we face in India is we translate from Hindi to English, and that's difficult. You know, you can't translate verbatim from one word to word. You can't do that. So that's
Right.
the
A lot of
issue we
times
face.
the translation's not the same.
Yeah. And whenever we Hindi speakers want to speak English, first thing that comes to our mind is English, Hindi sentences. So that's the issue we face.
Okay. It's really
Yeah.
funny how a lot of people speak their native language, but they will put and insert some English words into their speaking. It's very fun.
Yes. I have a question for you. It's like a fun thing. Suppose, can I ask? Can I ask?
Of course.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a bottle. Suppose this is a bottle, and someone else has already drunk from this bottle. And I want to say that it is used. Please don't drink because someone has already drunk from this and using like their lips to touching this brim. So how would you want that person that somebody already has drunk that? What is the one line that you
Well,
use?
a lot of different ways to inform someone that it's dirty. So you can simply say,
Yes,
someone already drank out of that, so be careful. Or you can say, oh, that's dirty, don't drink from it. You can say, that's
it's dirty.
contaminated, don't touch it to your
Okay,
lips.
contaminated. But contaminated, isn't this a word that is like doesn't suit here? Contamination means something which is impure. So can we say that somebody has
Right.
already drunk from that? Yeah. So you'd use that.
So you can use contaminated for that. Or you can just use a simple word like dirty. That's dirty, don't touch it to your mouth.
Okay. So he will get the meaning that someone already has drunk. So please don't drink it. Okay.
You say it's
Yeah.
dirty, that doesn't
Hmm.
clarify what made it dirty. Is there
Yes.
dirt on
Yes.
it? Did you rub it on the
Yeah.
street?
That's right.
Did you touch it to the lip? It doesn't
Yeah.
clarify. You're just in general warning the person that is not clean. Do not touch it to your mouth.
Can we use it? It is the used one. Please don't drink it. It is
Yes,
the
you,
used
you
one.
can say that's already used. That's a good way to instruct somebody as well.
We want to say that please don't drink touching your lips to the this thing, the brim. Okay, and you want to say that drink like this, from a distance like this. So how can I say that? Yeah, we generally say that and we face difficulty like what to say, what's the word that you natives use to for this. Suppose I have a glass of water, I don't want to touch to the brim and just want to drink it from a distance like this. So what's the word or sentence for that?
Well, I'm going to have to see an example. Let's see you drink from it without touching your mouth.
Okay, okay, okay,
No,
okay. So suppose this is a, I
I'm,
opened
I'm,
a bottle and like this,
I'm joking.
not an issue. So I have
Wow,
just
you're very
demonstrated.
talented.
I am like I demonstrated you when we want to use the same bottle and so many people are there. So this is the thing we do, and we don't touch it lips to the bottle of the brim of the bottle. Yeah. So that's the thing.
Yes,
So I just want to ask
I'm
you
very
from you. Yeah.
familiar. I'm very familiar with this kind of drinking. I do it all the time. And there's a lot of different terms. I made up a term for this, calling it airdrop. Airdrop it. Don't touch it to your mouth.
Okay, airdrop it. Okay, that's great. So you will say, please airdrop it.
So
Don't
drinking a Coca-Cola and I say, here, try a sip of my Coca-Cola, but do an airdrop. Don't touch it
do
to
it.
your mouth.
Airdrop, if I have to replace this word with something easier, can I say don't touch it to your mouth and drink from a distance? Can I say that?
Yes, that's a really nice way to say it that everybody would understand. If you tell
Okay.
someone airdrop this liquid, they would say, "What? I'm
Okay.
confused."
Yeah.
But what you
Yeah.
said is very more common. Take a
Yeah.
sip, but don't touch it to your mouth. Just pour it from a
Okay.
distance.
And there's no dictionary, where we just read it and just know the meaning. So we as
Yes.
English trainers in India, we try to translate the Hindi sentences into English, and that becomes really a cumbersome process for us. That's the issue.
Oh, yes. This is the situation with many languages. It's difficult to translate word for word. It does not have the same meanings.
Yeah. What would you suggest for the people who want to speak English in India? Should they translate and speak, or just go through native speakers?
Well, that's a good way to start is translating. And then once you
Yeah.
become more familiar with the English
Yes.
language, then you can start correcting your sentence into more proper English. But we have to
Yes.
start somewhere, and we usually start with some broken English and things like that. So that is a good way to start translating. But as you mentioned, it's not going to be perfect English.
Definitely. And I have one more question. One of the working professionals here, so he has to deal with people with different accents, like American, British. So he was asking me how long will it take to learn a particular accent.
Right. Well, everybody has questions like this. How can I learn English
Yes,
very quickly? How can I fix my accent and sound like an American
yes,
accent? And I
yes,
always tell people there's no magic trick to have perfect English tomorrow. It takes a lot of practice and it takes time,
mhm,
right? And, everybody is really concerned about their accent. But in my opinion, an accent is normal. Even countries that have English as being their first native language, there's a lot of different accents, such as the Australian accent, such as the accent from the UK, places like London and England and Britain. So their language is English, but they have a different accent. So I think an accent is not a problem. It seems like most people are interested in American English. And the thing that's difficult with American English is people speak very, very fast, and they always change the
yes,
subject frequently. So
yeah,
one minute they're talking about work and business and their job, and then all of a sudden, the
mhm,
next minute, they're talking about the weekend and what they did for fun, and it confuses people. You have to follow so
mhm,
closely and pay close attention. Oh, okay, now we're talking about something different. You have to really have practice with that. So that's what's difficult with American English. And people that are from the UK, they use really different vocabulary words, have a different accent, and the words sound differently. So you really have to, know the vocab that they use, and that's really difficult as well. And it's kind of interesting. The people from the UK say, "Oh, we have proper English. You Americans don't have proper
yeah.
to be right, and everybody wants to be correct." I just say, whatever you want to believe, I
I've
don't
heard
care.
them saying that. Yeah. But I think language should be always about communication. Like if you're able to
Right.
communicate it in whatever accent, you know. So I think people should focus on fluency and
Exactly.
communication, like getting some words to express their feelings, and that would be like good enough, I would say.
I agree with you. And communication seems easy, but it's not. Communication is very difficult, and most people are not very good at communicating. Even if you speak English, or even if you speak the same language, most people are not that good in communicating. They leave out the details.
Okay.
They don't really, talk about the proper order of activities and the proper times and days. And a lot of times there's miscommunication, and that creates a big problem. This happens, there was just an airplane crash in Japan, and the airplane crashed because there was bad communication. Well, I'm just talking about how important communication is, and a lot of people aren't very good at communicating, and that's where a lot of problems stem from. There was just a airplane crash in Japan recently, and the reason for the crash was the pilot had bad communication with the employees on the ground, so the plane
Okay.
crashed.
Okay, that's good. That's a good example of communication. That's nice.
Right. Yeah. So you have to be so clear and detailed when you speak to people. You have to make sure they understand your main point and focus of what you're trying to communicate. It's not easy.
Okay. You actually showed a different picture why communication is so important these days. And not only speaking
Right.
English,
Very
not only
important.
speaking a particular language, yeah, but how well do you communicate? That plays more importance. Yeah, that's more
Exactly
important.
right. I agree with you. It's not what language do you speak. Communication is a little different than the language.
Yes, yes. I have one last question with you. Generally, in India, people get frustrated by learning grammar rules, and they don't want to learn grammar and then speak. So, is there any way that without grammar, we can even the beginner should learn without delving deep into the grammar things? So, what can be done regarding this?
Right. Well, as we all know, grammar is important, but I always recommend to people things like watching English movies, listening to English podcasts. Things like this are really helpful for your listening skills and pronunciation. And of course, you can always turn on and off the subtitles if you need help. and you can watch it more than once and really just challenge yourself and try to really, listen carefully and see if you can understand what's happening in the movies. So I always tell people, watch the English movies. It's very helpful with the language.
But generally, as I told you, I deal with people who are from tribal areas. So they have tribal language and they don't even speak Hindi, that's a common language.
Uh-huh.
So that's the issue with them because of their pronunciation. They hesitate a lot and they don't know even the basic meanings. For example, steel, they don't know this common word they're not having knowledge of. So it's difficult for them to just jump into movies, you know, because they won't understand
It's
anything.
very true.
That's the issue. Yeah, that's the
Yes.
issue with them. So for them, what's your suggestion?
You have a very difficult job. I understand because
Because
working
I've,
with tribal people.
yeah,
Yes, yes. I was working with the indigenous tribal people here in the Philippines, and I was planting
okay.
bamboo along the riversides with them because they have a lot of land, tribal land. So I was planting bamboo on their land, and it was really difficult to communicate with them. Like you said, they don't know simple, small English words. It's impossible to communicate with them. So you really have
Okay.
to simplify and just say the main topic of what you're trying to say. And there's a lot of acting and hand gestures and sign
Yeah.
language going on. It's really
Yes,
not
yes,
easy.
yes. Very true.
Right. So that's really difficult. And how do you start teaching someone English that doesn't know any English? Well,
Hmm.
fortunately, here on Cambly, most people already know some English and at
Yeah.
least they can communicate in broken English. But
Hmm.
sometimes I speak to people here on Cambly that don't speak any English, and it's near impossible to communicate or do any lessons or teach them anything. So
Obviously.
you have to really resort to a translation tool. So
Hmm.
here on Cambly, they have this chat box, and if I type a message to you in English, you can click on the message, and it will automatically translate it into Hindu.
Yeah, if we pay attention to their language also and just try to imbibe confidence in them, instill confidence. So obviously, bit by bit, they will start using the phrases, and at least they will have some the basic survival English, so that they
Right,
don't face any difficulties. Yeah, and it was
right.
nice
Well,
talking to you.
confidence.
Yeah,
Right. It was really nice to meet you as well, and looking
yeah,
forward to seeing you again. So call anytime.
yeah. Sure, sure. It was nice. You gave good suggestions and definitely will help my students. And water bottle thing
Well,
was also fun, right?
oh, yes, a really nice lesson
Yes.
here today, and it's so nice to speak with
Yeah.
you. Well,
Same here,
have a
same
good
here. Thank you
day.
so much, Kado. Yeah. Thank you so much.